right, the hockey game's over with. Chris and I are here in the Weather Center keeping you updated on the potential dangerous situation for us. Tornado watch continues for the entire upstate back into northeastern Georgia from now until 7 o'clock this evening. But what could actually happen, we just lost some lights. Can you see us now? Took a little power hit there. That this watch, wouldn't be surprised. We're getting some information from the Storms Prediction Center who issues the watches this was actually from the GSP National Weather Service out at Greer. Chris was just mentioned that just moments ago that they're thinking about possibly extending this watch because of more severe weather could develop farther to our west. Now, this tornado watch also continues for you folks in Henderson County, Transylvania County, Polk County, Rutherford County, through all the foothills in Piedmont of North Carolina. That goes until 8 o'clock this evening, all the way over to the Charlotte area. All right, let's go into the radar. Let's see what we have as far as warnings. No warnings now. Did we have a warning for northern Greenville County? I guess that's not showing up, Chris.
Yeah, it's not.
We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, I do believe, unless they've canceled it, for northern Greenville County. That may have been canceled. But we do have this tornado warning, which still continues for you folks in McCormick County, and it's just about ready to go across the line in the Savannah River from northeastern Georgia into McCormick County. Let's go ahead and show the radar, Chris, and see what it looks like. So we have some heavy showers. I think why we're not getting a lot of tornado warnings, and Chris and I were kind of talking about this, is we're not getting a lot of lightning strikes. So these showers are not becoming thunderstorms and getting up high enough to tap that extremely strong winds that are just above the ground. But we have incredible wind shear going on right now. Let's zoom on in. You can see rain showers with some heavy rain moving into Greenwood. This is the cell right here that prompted the tornado warning. This red box is a tornado warning. It goes until 3 o'clock this afternoon, so about another 15 minutes or so. And it has showed, Chris, some signs of weakening as far as its rotation. That is certainly good news.
That's right, John. We're watching that very closely. In fact, looking back a few frames, you can see how strong that was just a few minutes ago. Back toward, we're talking just west of Augusta. They ended that right on time here. Let's go back 30 minutes ago. You can see how strong that rotation was as it entered parts of McCormick County, right along the Georgia-South Carolina line. A tremendous amount of rotation there. So far, we have not gotten any reports of damage there, but that was 229 there as it crossed into McCormick there. Right now, let's go to where it's at. You can see as it cycles, that rotation has broadened out and weakened as it moves into parts of McCormick County. So we're going to watch that very closely, because if it should continue on its same path, it would be in parts of Greenwood County. And putting a track on that rotation, as it almost looks like it shifted a bit toward the west there, John. It would be in Promised Land at 319, Greenwood, if it continued on its same path, at 325. So we want you just to be on alert. If you have friends or family that live in Greenwood, go ahead and give them a call, because this cell will move into Greenwood County within the next 20 or 30 minutes and could produce some rotation, but nonetheless a lot of gusty winds with this, John, and that's what we're watching there. Nonetheless, the storm is severe, producing gusty winds, but it does have a history of producing some rotation, and it's entering an area that's pretty unstable.
Yeah, very unstable to say the least, Chris. So we'll have to watch that and see whether or not, because just in a matter of moments here, it's going to expire in 9 minutes, Chris, this tornado warning. So we'll see if there's just enough rotation for the Weather Service to actually issue a warning all the way up into possibly Greenwood County, and maybe even into parts of Saluda County, and eventually over to Newberry and Lawrence counties. Going on anywhere back into the rest of the upstate, northeastern Georgia, and also in western North Carolina, at least right now. Let's take a look at the radar now. Here's some thunderstorms developing now back in eastern Kentucky and east Tennessee. Remember, the fronts are all the way back here. So if this line moves through, we've got some clearing skies back here, and that's going to just bubble up the atmosphere, because we're so unstable as it is. We're fairly unstable, even with cloudy skies and the off-and-on rain that we've had today. But look at this. This is all sunshine back here. These are the thunder showers that are developing. And then we have this cold front coming into this very unstable air into Tennessee, Alabama, back into Georgia, and then eventually over to us later on this evening. That's what's kind of interesting, Chris. Look at these warnings and dotting these supercells along that line right now, but no warnings to our west. We'll see if this starts to really fire up as the atmosphere becomes unstable to our west. Be interesting to see. So Chris and I will be back throughout this afternoon, through this evening, In fact, you got some information here. Let's go over to Chris right now real quickly.
Yeah, we want to go over some storm reports here that we're getting across the area. Our crews are on the scene of some downed trees, and we've got some down in Livonia, Main Street, Jones Street. Also, we've got a new report there in Fairplay, right at Lake Hartwell. Some docks loose from their tie downs there. Also, some trees down in Fairplay. So watching that closely. And John, looking at this cell or this line back toward Tennessee, I'm going to draw on the map right here and show you what we're talking about, because we've got this clearing in this area right here, and you've got these storms that are firing up in this area just west of here. So this convection here is what's concerning the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center, because normally when rain comes through an area, it stabilizes the atmosphere, but we have just a tremendous amount of wind energy in the atmosphere that we think this line, you can see it showing up on our rapid refresh model. This is a special computer model that only goes out 15 hours. What it does is it corrects itself every hour based on current conditions. Let's move this forward here. Look at that storm activity in East Tennessee and in North Georgia. It just flares right back up around 5 o'clock. Here is 6 o'clock. Look at that. That's a mean-looking line there, John, as it continues to move toward the east. Here is 7:30. There is 8 o'clock. There is 9 o'clock. And in that line could be embedded supercells. So our tornado threat, our wind threat really will not die down until this line itself moves on through. Right, John?
Yeah, Chris, and we were both kind of surprised in a way that the watch was only issued for 7, 8 o'clock across our area, 8 o'clock in North Carolina, until 7 o'clock in the upstate northeastern Georgia, because of this second line that's actually going to be developing along the cold front itself. So, and even though this line has the potential to produce straight line damaging winds and large hail, we could easily see a little rotation here and possibly even a tornado. So we'll see. Storms Prediction Center, the National Weather Service out at GSP is watching it. We've got some more information.
Yeah. I'll let you look over here. Getting some more storm reports here, John. Just looking at it. The location, Fairplay Road and South Carolina Highway 24, got some wind damage there. We just had a power flicker here at the station. We've got some gusty winds in and around the area right here. Let me reset here. If you're just now joining us, we do have a tornado watch until 8 p.m. tonight. Let's show you that on our maps here, because this tornado watch covers basically our entire area. 7 o'clock for the upstate, 8 o'clock for the mountains. We do expect that watch to probably be extended because of the convection, the storm activity that we're seeing in East Tennessee. We do have an active tornado warning just south of our area here. I'll show it to you first without the radar on, just so you can see it. It is in McCormick. Heads up Greenwood County. This is a cell that we're watching very closely. As I turn the radar on, it has had a history of producing some damaging winds, also some rotation indicated by the radar. This cell has weakened tremendously, but it is a rotating thunderstorm. And John, I'm going to turn on the velocity here and let you kind of dissect it, because it does look like it's behaving a little bit more so than it was earlier, but there is still those reds and greens which indicate the twisting and turning in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it looks like it's becoming a little bit more broad now, but still, it kind of goes up and down. Just if we go from frame to frame, which means just over the last 15 minutes or so, Chris, it kind of intensifies briefly, so it could be a funnel cloud. It may touch down briefly, go back up. Right now, it's not as strong a rotation, but you notice back here we had some very, very bright green and bright red indicate right there. That was just incredible. It was back in northeastern Georgia. That's prompted the tornado warning, which is this red box here. And then now it's all the way heading up to you folks in the town of McCormick. It's getting very close to you. So you folks obviously should be already in your safe room, just because of the fact that this could actually briefly touch down a tornado. So we'll see in about, what are we at, 56 now? In about 4 minutes or so, this warning will expire. So we'll see whether you get anything from the chat, Chris, on whether or not they'll extend this warning back up into Greenwood and possibly even Abbeville County, but most likely Greenwood County. McCormick at just about at 3:01 in just a few minutes. Mason Crossroads at 3:09, Kirksey at 3:18 this cell, and Greenwood at 3:24. So even if it doesn't prompt the tornado warning for you folks in Greenwood County, you're still going to have to deal with this cell moving through, which has the potential to produce winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour, straight line winds, and possibly even some large hail. Not a lot of lightning associated with any of these cells, and I think that's why they're just not growing very tall and tapping a lot of that strong winds aloft. If we start seeing some lightning strikes from some of these individual cells, I think Chris and I will get pretty worried about this, and that's when we're going to, and we'll see, because we're still only talking about almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we still got plenty of daylight left, to say the least, at least almost 5 hours. So that's what it looks like right now. We'll see whether or not they issue this warning. Chris, let's go back and show the whole radar. Most of us are starting to look pretty good. We have some heavy showers moving in through North Carolina, as you can see. Northeastern Georgia, you're starting to dry out all the way back into metro Atlanta. Alabama looks good, but we're looking at that little sliver of thunderstorms developing here in East Tennessee and also in eastern part of Kentucky. We'll have to wait and see if that starts to fire up and also develop more cells farther south and then move across us a little bit later on this evening. So we're getting close. Let's just wait at least 2 minutes. We measure well, at least, Chris, and see whether or not they issue a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe for Greenwood County with that cell, or maybe upgrade it to a tornado warning. So that's what it looks like right now, Chris.
Yeah. I think something you were mentioning earlier about the lack of it getting tall. I think something that I read in a discussion just a moment ago on the latest computer model that came out was that the closer to the low this is, you can see the low. And anytime you see snow in April, just so that somebody's getting severe weather, that just shows you how powerful this system is. This line right here in East Tennessee is closer to the main low pressure system, so it has a little bit more lift with it. So as that line itself comes through our area, it may be able to get those storms to rise just high enough to cause them to begin to rotate a little more potent than they are right now. So that's going to be the concern, I think, John, is this line right here. Look at it already firing up. You almost got some little discrete cells. They're not supercells yet, but they're discrete, which means they're by themselves. If that continues farther south into Georgia, areas that have already seen thunderstorms, that would indicate our threat is going to be pretty high going into the evening hours, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, because this area is seeing abundant sunshine. So you get the rain that cools you down into the 60s, the sun comes back out, it's muggy, it's warms you back up into the 70s. That would be plenty of fuel because, like John mentioned, it's only 3 p.m. We've still got 4 or 5 more hours of some sunshine that could potentially warm us up and destabilize the atmosphere. John, here's a new computer model. I'll let you walk through this one.
Yeah, this was, you can see this is the line that's moving through us right now, kind of a broken line of individual heavy showers with some rotation. And then here's that line that's developing now back into East Tennessee and Tennessee. Look at this. And like Chris mentioned, this line developing now back into Tennessee and Kentucky now, closer to that upper level low, it also means you have a lot of cold air aloft that's not over us right now. So these cells, besides having the rotation, look at the purple in here. These could be cells that could possibly produce, since we'll have so much cold air aloft, large hail. So we're going to maybe go to a more of a threat from tornadoes, still the threat of tornadoes, but now a greater threat with this line coming in later this evening of large hail and possibly straight line damaging winds. This is at 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and take it through, Chris. And you can see even at 8 o'clock, this is really nasty. Thunderstorms moving right through the Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Abbeville area, and then heading over to Spartanburg, weakening. They're expecting this line to weaken as it spreads from west to east across our area this evening, and you can see it actually is. Not as much purple. Lauren's a heavy cell, moving into Union, also into Gaffney, up into Rutherford County, and over into Cleveland County, and then it heads up and through the foothills of North Carolina. And by 11:30 this evening, especially after midnight tonight, I think we're going to be all clear, Chris. So we're at 3 o'clock. What did they do with that warning? Okay, looks like they're making it just a severe thunderstorm warning. Go ahead and zoom into that real quick if we could, Chris. Or if you want to go ahead and talk about it, and this will be the last time we can talk about this cell. So right now, severe thunderstorm warning for this. So they have not upgraded it. There was not as much rotation, so the Weather Service is keeping it as a severe thunderstorm warning now until 3:15 this evening. We'll still have to watch it. It's right over you folks in McCormick, but the tornado warning has expired on time at 3 o'clock. Chris and I will keep you updated throughout this afternoon, that's for sure. And we'll be back a little bit later on.
We now join our regularly scheduled program already in progress.
The league lead.